In this video, we'll go over all you need to know to become a great Killjoy player. What's going on, guys? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're breaking down Killjoy. Killjoy is an agent synonymous with the Sentinel role, and let's be honest, it's been a pretty long time since she's had a chance to shine in the meta. But fear not, her time is finally here, and she's ready to lock it down. So let's not waste any time and go over how you can carry games by setting up the most impenetrable defenses, and grinding your opponent's attack to an abrupt stop. Killjoy may seem to be as old as time itself, but many of us may forget that she was not in the initial agent roster. Not long after Reyna was added to the game when Valorant first released, Riot dropped Killjoy in patch 1.05, which also brought Deathmatch to the game. She then became one of the staple meta picks until the 2022 Chamber era. I don't know about you guys, but Deathmatch not being in the game seems like ancient history to me. Before we can look at Killjoy in depth, let's have a quick recap on the Sentinel role. Sentinels are one of the 4 agent roles in Valorant. The abilities of agents in this role focuses on defensive play, with emphasis on supporting the rest of the team through intel, anchoring sites, and preventing the enemy team from flanking. The Sentinel role in Valorant can be further broken down into the hard and soft variety, with soft focusing on characters like Chamber and Sage, and hard focusing on playing around their utility and being close to a bomb site, examples being Killjoy and Cypher. All of Killjoy's gear matches the description of the hard Sentinel role. Killjoy's signature ability is her turret. This place-to-forget robot has been engineered to hold a 180-degree line of sight and engage any hostile that enters its vision, including Yoru's clone, which definitely hasn't cost me a round before, I swear. Even when the turret isn't actively shooting a shoulder-peeking duelist, it is still gathering valuable information for your team. Valorant is a game that can be broken down into 2 really basic components, shooting and preparing to fight. One of the mini-games that feed into the latter part of the game is the so-called information game. You'll often see pro teams meticulously use their utility to clear areas of the map, only for it to turn out to be empty. You may think it was all for nothing, but in reality, no information is still good information, as it can be used to determine where the enemies are and therefore where the fight will be. An aggressively placed turret that is silent is often a good indication that enemies aren't in that line of sight, thus allowing you to relay this to your teammates to bolster defenses elsewhere. Like every ability in the game, the turret has a number of key characteristics that make up its strengths and limitations. The most obvious drawback of the turret is its 40-meter activation range. Not only does this tie Killjoy down to where she is playing on defense, but it also tells the enemy that the German is near the site and to be wary of her presence. Plus, when the turret is destroyed, it goes on a 45-second cooldown instead of the regular 20-second recall one, which can feel like an eternity in a round that only lasts a minute 40. To no one's surprise, an autonomous robot does damage, but the amount of it varies depending on the distance of the target. From 0 to 20 meters, the turret does 8 damage per shot, 6 at 20 to 35 meters, and then a measly 4 damage per shot after 35 meters. These rounds are fired in bursts of 3, meaning you can do up to 24 damage if all 3 land in close range. The bullets not only hurt, but also apply a 30% movement speed penalty when you get tagged by the turret. This can ultimately be the factor that leads to your demise if you are in a nano grenade or find yourself in a choke point with no cover. All this talk about damage almost made me forget to mention the turret's 125 health. While it is nowhere near as much as a Sage wall, it can be frustrating to deal with on a pistol round as it takes 5 shots with the classic to break. But before we continue, guys, don't forget to check out our website ProGuides.com. We offer things like coaching, boot camps, and even guides made by the pros, so that we give you guys the fastest way to improve. If you're serious about Valorant, we can't recommend it enough, and you can get access to everything for just $8 a month. Try it out now. Then for the Nanoswarm. Whilst the turret tagging may only slow one attacker, Killjoy's Nanoswarm is bound to grind any push to a halt. Lasting 4 seconds and doing a maximum of 180 damage, it would be wise to respect it. 45 damage per second is a lot, and while you probably won't get as many kills today as you once could, it's a very important tool to halt pushes and zone enemies in choke points. They are not only frustrating to play against on attack, but are equally annoying on defense as well. You can often find your retake attempt being blocked by nades and your teammates spewing out onto the bomb site from a different path, only to die and ask why you aren't out yet. What makes Nanoswarms unique is that they are the only grenade in the game at present that requires to be set off after they are deployed. This allows them to be placed around the map and used reactively to the pressure the enemy is applying. For costing only 200 credits, they are very powerful and versatile. One way to get the most out of your Nanoswarms is to place them in front of your alarm bot. This allows them to be more effective as enemies usually stand still to break the alarm bot instead of running towards it. By having your grenades placed closer to the enemy than the alarm bot, you are more likely to catch the person inside of the molly range. One well-kept secret that can level up your Killjoy game is the sound cone lineup trick. If you look straight up into the air, move forward and throw a Nanoswarm, the grenade will always land on the edge of the sound cone, provided that there is no obstruct to its fall. This can be a great way to win post plants as the enemies have little to no time to break the grenade and you are far enough away that it's unrealistic for you to be punished for doing so. This method of playing post-plant with Killjoy's mollies was used a lot during the insufferable 2021 post-plant meta, which had Viper, Sova, Killjoy, and occasionally Brimstone dumping their utility onto a bomb to stop the other team from defusing and thus losing the round to time. Just the thought of that meta return makes me die a little bit on the inside, as Viper doing it on Breeze gives me the urge to alt F4. This method of play was most popular on Icebox, where agents like Killjoy were seemingly able to endlessly stall any attempts to defuse with their Nanoswarm grenades, forcing you to either get off the spike or die trying. The Alarm Bot is another important piece of utility for Killjoy players, and you will be seeing a lot more of it now after the chamber nerfs in patch 5.12. Coming in at 200 credits, the Alarm Bot is quite adaptable in that it has multiple uses during the round and can be picked up to be used later. At its core, the Alarm Bot hunts down enemies that get within its range and explodes, making them vulnerable, which is a debuff that makes the affected agents take double damage. Similarly to her turret, the Alarm Bot has a 40-meter activation range, but its enemy detection range is much smaller at 5.5 meters before it activates. It has a 20-second recall cooldown period, making it placeable multiple times in a round, provided it doesn't get broken. On attack, it is often used to hold the flank, but it can also be used to clear awkward corners without face-checking them as Killjoy. This can be done by simply placing the Alarm Bot offensively, and if any enemies are in the position, the Alarm Bot will latch onto them. Effectively, it is a way to get small pieces of information that make your life easier on an agent that can be difficult on the attack side. Which reminds me, I should ask, what is your favorite map for Killjoy? When I think of Killjoy maps, I think of Ascent, my favorite map. There are so many potent setups on this map, and her utility can be used in a plethora of different ways, from holding mid to playing with 2 mollies on short, or the iconic lane molly setup. But what's yours? Let us know in the comment section down below. On defense, players prefer to have an Alarm Bot set up with Molotovs, or to hold a key part of the map, but in saying that, Killjoy doesn't have to be used to sit at the back of the site. Some players opt to place their utility aggressively in an attempt to get free map control and very early information, such as placing her Alarm Bot deep in A main on Ascent or in the bathroom door behind Bind. Furthermore, the Alarm Bot can be used during retakes to clear positions, such as lamps on Bind or elbow on Split A. The last tool on Killjoy's belt is her 7-orb ultimate, the Lockdown. The Lockdown is a very powerful map control ultimate. I would go as far as saying it's the best ability in the game for taking space, as it forces the other team out of position, or they run a very high chance of being killed for free. The range of the ultimate is 32.5 meters, meaning a well-placed ultimate can clear the entire site, almost making the ultimate a get-on-site free card. Not only is this ultimate very powerful in terms of implications for the enemy's setup, but it is also amazing for pushing them off of the site, allowing you to easily make space for free in a retake. For example, on Icebox, with the number of corners to clear on A site and the lack of cover on the B bomb site, Lockdown can enable retakes to be incredibly easy if used correctly. In patch 5.12, the Lockdown got its first ever change, with its health being increased from 150 to 200. While this may not sound like a big change, it now means Sova's shock darts and Raze's satchels can't break it, as they only do max 150 damage. KO's nade needs to be placed perfectly to destroy it, otherwise the damage will fall off and not be enough. It's not Fort Knox though, with Brimstone's Molotov, all 3 shots of Sova's ultimate, and Raze's nade being able to break it. On Ascent A, the ultimate can be used in conjunction with the mollies to completely take the A site. You can do this by placing the ultimate in the garden and then using the sound cone trick to launch nanoswarms into wine, forcing the enemies to either take heavy damage or get caught in the lockdown, an undesirable outcome either way. In my opinion, Killjoy offers more versatility and flexibility in terms of playstyle and how to set up your teammates in a round than any other Sentinel counterpart at the present. Every agent in the game has a multitude of playstyles, each having a different impact on the game, and Killjoy is no different. One of the most popular ways I see Killjoy played on the attack is on the lurk role, especially on Haven. Killjoy excels in this role because unlike a duelist, smoker, or initiator like Sova, she is non-essential to the push. Her kit is designed to hold the flank, and by being elsewhere she is fulfilling this purpose. The other team won't bat an eyelid if they don't see a Killjoy turret when you are pushing the site, but they may ask some questions when a jet is missing. I'm not saying you have a free pass to be on the other side of the map every round. I'm saying that when appropriate, Killjoy is the perfect agent to go for a cheeky round-winning backstab. Personally, I enjoy playing away from my team on Haven around A lobby, with my turret holding someone walking up long and me hugging the long wall looking towards short. As you have no teammates around, the enemies may drop their guard and walk into your crosshair thinking that they have a great flank in the making. Aggressive Killjoy is a playstyle that can be risky, but if pulled off correctly, it can reap a significant reward. Killjoy isn't a duelist like Reyna or Jett, and thus being aggressive with her requires a little more thought and planning. By using her utility, namely her alarm bot and turret, you can clear angles before you continue your push, thus allowing you to fall back if you aren't comfortable taking the fight and return with fresh information, or to take the fight with better knowledge of the enemy's position. Furthermore, by being aggressive, you can react to the enemy's attack. It is important to learn to use the utility in a reactionary way. If the enemy does one thing, you do a play in response. For example, if the enemy team have taken hookah on bind, you can use your turret to take control of long, which leaves you in a much better position in terms of map control than giving up both and playing sight. Being able to take initiative and make a counterplay on your feet is what sets apart the pros to Radiance and therefore you from your next rank. It is important to think about these reactionary plays before the round, as it makes them a lot easier to perform. Don't be afraid to try something new with your utility. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work as you expected, which isn't the end of the world. I find that mollying CT entrants back into sites aggressively and then popping them right before I think a retake is going to begin can be very successful in securing the round. Not only does this zone the enemies out from one way back in, but it also makes the overall retake harder as they have less time and more of you to temporarily focus on another doorway. The last way to play Killjoy we will touch on in this video is passive, the site-bound way of playing her. This way is defined by playing dug deep into the bomb site with her utility to set up either to play the retake or to stall the push to buy time for your team to rotate. To make this style work and to prevent you from getting overrun and made into a free ult point every round, it is critical to have a well thought out, strong utility setup and knowledge of how to play off of them. If you just slap down 2 random nades in a turret, it probably won't cut the mustard, often resulting in you losing the site as quickly as you placed your utility. An important skill to learn is to know when to use your nanoswarms prematurely. You may think, well, my molly did no damage and it was a waste of 200 credits, but in reality, it can halt a push before it even begins, causing the other team to waste smokes, initiate a utility, and most importantly, allow your team to get to the rotates ready. It's also important to know when to give up the site with this playstyle. Sometimes it's just better to give the enemy team site and to play retake with the man advantage and utility. More often than not on defense, your life is worth a lot more than a 1-for-1, and even numbers in a post plant can favor the attackers if they don't play their post plant right. Well guys, that's our ultimate Killjoy guide. What agent do you want us to do next? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this video and want to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next one.